or 0903 302 4328 for more inquiries and quick delivery. The Classmate Furniture, where comfort meets class.
Stay ahead of the curve and get updates on the latest trends in politics, government, policies, education, economy, social development, amongst others.
We're happy to announce today that both the federal government and the organized labor have agreed on an increase on the 62,000 naira minimum wage.
Join
Ayodeji Ajishokwe
and
Adedamola Lafenwa
on from the dailies every weekday from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. on Solutions 93.9 FM as they dive into the headlines with in-depth analysis and feedback from you on different stories from the national dailies. Start your day by gaining fresh perspectives, uncovering the story behind the story, and join the conversation. Because your voice matters. From the dailies, the conversation never stops.
Well, thank God it's Friday. It's day number 10 in the 10th month, the 10-10-2025. My name is Adedamola Lafenwa. The program is from the Daily Zone Solutions and 93. The 9 FM, where we get to take you through the front page stories of different newspapers. And of course, this is the very last edition of the program for the week. Comrade Ayodeji Ajishokwe is live in the studio with me this beautiful Friday morning. Good morning to you, Comrade Ayodeji Ajishokwe.
Yes, good morning to you, my dear comrade brother. It's nice and very good to be here again. And of course, to the Muslim faithfuls, I say Barka Jimoh and the boys and girls out there. It's another
Thank
Friday.
God it's Friday to them. Okay, now looking at the papers this morning as expected, you and I spoke about it earlier this week that when Professor Mahmoud Yakubu stepped aside and Agbamuche Umbu was named as an interim, or maybe
There should be no vacuum.
There should be no vacuum. But yesterday, the council met yesterday, and a name has finally come out as a Professor Joash Amukwiton. Okay, so we'll be talking about who the man is all about today. And the headlines on the front pages of papers have that story, taking the account of the Nigerian Tribune, why I picked Amukwiton as INEC chair, Tinubu. Okay. And looking at the riders too, Council of State approves its choice. Bill Gates and 958 others to get national honors. New police trust fund repealed. Reenactment coming. Okay, moving away from that now. Osho LG's withheld funds case adjourned. Tinubu leads tributes as Christopher Kolade dies at 92. His life and times. Another one, Tinubu pardons Abbott Macaulay, Vatsa Lawan, grants amnesty to 82 inmates. And as reported on the front page of the Punch newspaper, Amukwiton faces a tough test as a new INEC chair. Opposition warns against partisanship, demands as urgent reforms. Tinubu APC defend appointment, urge fairness, credibility.
Why is APC defending the appointment? Is APC not a political party?
The question is who picked him? Like looking at the account of the Nigerian Tribune, why I picked?
So why is
You know,
APC? Why is APC trying to do that?
well, still, if APC is saying that,
APC
still,
is a political party.
it's a political party.
So why
and
defend?
and the man that picked the new INEC chairman too is always going. It's going to be a contender in the same election that this man Amupiton is going to be the umpire of
Yeah.
it. And that has been generating a lot of controversies and for some weeks now. That shouldn't there be another means of appointing the head of INEC?
Well, I think we should just go back to Justice Iwe's report.
Okay. Still reading stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Tinubu Oshun mourn as Christopher Kolade dies. Police back down on tinted glass enforcement. And still on the front page of the Punch newspaper, Tinubu pardons Albert Macaulay, Vatsa, Farouk Lawan, 172 others. Moving away from that story, National Assembly probes NNPCL over $18 billion refinery spending. Okay, huge amount of money spent on the refineries and nothing to
18
show.
billion what?
$18 billion spent.
Just go on.
Okay. I should just go on. Okay, I'm moving on. Tinubu clears 959 for national honors. FG moves to other universities over TET fund grants. Away from the Punch newspaper, quick look at the front page of Daily Independent this Friday morning. Opposition's others set agenda for new INEC chairman. Okay, Amupiton. Another one, certificate scandal. CASA asks Enugu Attorney General to prosecute ex-minister Naji. Another one, we are concerned over defections from our party but not deterred. PDP. Akonde blames military takeover for decay in educational system. And the last one, Tinubu Sanwo-Olu mourn Christopher Kolade. And on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, there's an issue that has been affecting lots of students and parents as well too. Talking about accommodation crisis in our tertiary institutions, especially the universities now. And as put by the Vanguard newspaper, accommodation crisis hits universities, students, parents wail, and the riders 105,000 battle for 13,000 bed spaces at Unilag Lasso. Did you hear that? Yeah. 105,000 battle for 13,000 bed spaces at Unilag Lasso.
It's been long, my dear brother.
It's been long. And since taking riders, we are suffering under pressure. NANS. Agents make life unbearable for students, parents. Stress of commuting from home affecting our studies. Students are complaining now. We are pursuing PPP approach to solve problem. FG. Okay, another one there because of our time. Tinubu Monza as ex-UK envoy Christopher Kolade dies at 92. Okay, it's from the Daily Zone Solutions 93.9 FM. Let me remind us that the Friday edition is always in two parts. The first part, we look at the stories on the front pages of newspapers. And the second part, we have a medical doctor in the house to talk about another health issue. Now, starting with the death of an elder statesman, Christopher Kolade. Comrade, who was Christopher Kolade?
I think the summary of it all is that Christopher Kolade was simply integrity personified. It was industry personified. It was character personified. You know, a man you could not find a speck, even a speck of dishonesty and what is so rampant with us now. And, he started out in broadcasting, came to Radio Nigeria. What did they call it? Yeah, it used to be called Radio Nigeria. And from there, he moved into the boardroom. But even in that space, it made impact. Of course, these are people that were groomed another generation that came.
At the point, he had Cadbury's.
He had a Cadbury. He was CEO Cadbury. He had his Cadbury. And, you see, he was thorough, painstaking. I remember reading something from Victor Oladokun. You remember Victor Oladokun also served as a special assistant to Dr. The man that just left AFDB.
Okay.
Akinwumi. Yeah. Victor Oladokun served him as a special assistant. But Victor Oladokun worked with Christopher Kolade in Cadbury too, in various capacities. But everything was in the media space. He said he wrote a script, to put out, for the company as his duty as manager of public affairs. And he left it, of course, it was not the computer age, he left it on the man's table. He said, the man now called for it. He said, as soon as he opened the door, he saw the script on the man's table, and all he saw was red ink.
meaning correction.
And this is Victor Oladokun himself, very, very solid.
Definitely.
But when you are from the broadcasting background and in his age and time, you will see what many people will not see. He said, the man now told him, he said, what are you trying to get across in this script? He said, and he explained, he said, okay, now go and put that message there in simple. He said, please avoid big English. It's unnecessary. So
as a typical broadcaster,
it's unnecessary. Please just talk straight to the issue. Of course, he was an academic too. He lectured in Pan-African University, and guess what did he teach? Governance, corporate governance, and things. Because he never bent any rule. They just talk by the rules. And you see, I remember what President Jonathan said sometime when he was president, and people picked him up, and they turned it into a joke. President Jonathan was quoted to have said, stealing is not corruption. Damola, the worst form of corruption is not stealing. The worst form of corruption is bending the rules, or sometimes even breaking it outrightly. That is what destroys institutions. So when President Jonathan said corruption, stealing is not corruption, he said it in a manner that portrays his lack of depth in language. You understand? But he actually said the truth. Stealing is not the worst form of corruption. No, it is not. Bending the rules is the worst form of corruption, because it is to be designed, it will be done to put one or two people, very few people at an advantage over the multitude. And that is debasing the institution or institutions. So, this is what this man simply stood for. I mean, I don't know. That is a diminished generation, totally diminished generation in this country. In fact, bending the rules is actually the name of the game now. Somebody told me that I attended an interview, and that out of those that were at the interview was one particular individual that came from the office, from his or her own desk, to take an interview. Can you imagine? He had been employed though. I had already been employed, and then came to attend an interview, and that was the only vacancy. So that is the worst form of corruption. That is what has destroyed this country, that form of corruption. So this is what the man stood for.
Okay.
And there are some people you cannot approach about certain things. Let's do this. Who betide you?
Okay. The man, Christopher Colade, there, may his gentle soul continue to rest in perfect peace.
Legacies, character, integrity.
He will forever be
forthrightness.
remembered
Yes,
for that.
Yes.
For
And corporate governance. They stuck to it.
Okay, now moving to another story now, the appointment of nomination of a new INEC chairman now. And I would like to read the profile of the man. That the Council of State has approved the nomination of Professor Joash Ojo Amokbiton, SAN, as the new INEC chair. Professor Amokbiton is a distinguished legal scholar and administrator born in April 1967. Now, still reading the profile of Professor Amokbiton. He's a distinguished legal scholar and administrator born in April 1967 in Ayetoro, Gbede, Kogi State. A first-class mind, he graduated as the best law student of the University of Jos in 1987, was called to the Nigerian Bar Association in 1988, and went on to earn his LLM in 1993 and PhD in 2007 in law from the same university. He joined the University of Jos as a young lecturer in 1989, steadily rising to become a full professor of law in 2008. His areas of specialization include the law of evidence, corporate governance, corporate law, and privatization law, with over 50 publications to his credit. If he scales through the screening by the Senate, he becomes the next INEC chairman.
Yeah. The biggest challenge before the new nominee is credibility. You might come as a credible individual, credible individual. But when you now get to INEC, I think I've said it here. When they talk about the Rex and others, look, these are not the people doing manipulations. You understand? He coordinates. But what about the heads of each directorate and the subordinates? If they are determined, except you are very much on top of your game and you have people around you, you understand? Honestly, if I were him, he has never been in that terrain, I will go and hire people outside the system, but who understand the system, the specific critical areas, who will be giving me counsel. Weighing the counsel I'm giving within. You understand? And then juxtapose it. My dear brother, if the prof is straight as a gun barrel, there are crooked people within the system.
But earlier this week too, we spoke with the former Oyo State chairman of IPAC when he was saying he kept on making a statement that he who pays the piper calls the tune. Now, the kind of system we operate in this country, where the sitting president will have to be the one to appoint or to nominate a name to be screened by the National Assembly to become an umpire in the country's election. And a lot of people have come against that style of appointment. Now we are coming to 2027 now. Tinubu, who appointed this man, is also a contender in that election. So the way some people are viewing it, how credible will such things be? Are there no other ways of appointing the head of INEC?
I don't think that is the problem. I'll give you an instance. In Oyo State, somebody was appointed a OSEC chairman, a man of character and integrity. And I asked him, why are you here to stake your everything? Why would you accept such a job? To come and stake your reputation? He said he got assurances that you will have a free hand. It will be told you have a free hand. But what about the people who will create bottlenecks and you wouldn't know? And they will so create it in a manner and in a timing that you will not be able to do anything about it. You understand? Is it the INEC chairman? When logistics, I noticed something in what Mahmoud said in his handing over. He said Nigeria is Africa's most complex landscape in terms of logistics and topography. Yes, logistics and topography. Believe you me, it does not make sense for any national body to be conducting election. It is just almost an insurmountable task. Just look at the monstrous logistics, topography, and geography. It is a monstrous, and you will be depending on people.
Definitely.
For logistics, from Ibadan, INEC is you are depending. I remember I interviewed the REC, the current new REC in your state, and he said the experiences he had in a few places, what he was going to put into use here. Logistics, moving election materials, and moving election materials are the most critical. Now, what if the transporter? Of course, the transporter will not know which local government he will be serving. They won't tell them. They will just say, fill your tank, be on standby. They will not. The people who collect the material will not say, we are going to Ibadan North local government, or we are going to Kajola. You understand? They won't know, so that they won't, divulge information about that. But what if the man that had been assigned to do that connives with the transport manager and transport people, and then park in one place and sabotage things? You understand? When election materials does not get there in time, that is the beginning of trouble. People will start panicking. People will start raising hell. Nigeria is the topography and geography. I think what we should be addressing is decentralizing this thing. It is too much. 8,800 and something police stations. And you sit in Abuja. You deploy to Oyo State. Oyo State itself is battling. Okay, look at Niger State. The landscape of Niger. Bigger than the whole of Southeast. And then the insecurity that is currently there now. And all of that. It is not the man. They can sabotage any well-intentioned wreck. But if you're on top of your game, Jega was on top of his own game. Jega was clearly on top of his. But Jega comes from a radical background, you understand? He was on top of his game. People say, Jega made so much impact.
If you say Jega was on top of his game, wasn't Mahmoud on top of his game?
Well, Jega had created the impression that nobody was manipulating him, nobody was controlling him. And why should anybody control anybody? Look, I don't understand some of these things. When they say elections are being manipulated, it is quite difficult to. It is quite difficult the way things are now. All you can do is sabotage logistics. And when logistics is sabotaged, if I know your local government where you are going to get great number of votes, I will just sabotage logistics. That's all that matters. And I think that was what happened to Jega. When Jega cancelled an election. He stopped an election that already commenced. When he saw logistics was going to sabotage him, he just cancelled the election. I think about 1 or 2 p.m. just announced that the election had been cancelled, that we were going to start all over again the following week. That takes courage. That takes a lot of courage for you to come to that decision.
So, in essence, there is a Herculean task before Amopiton.
Imagine now. How many 20 months or 22 months to, not even 22 months, 20 months to nationwide election. Well, we have staggered election in Osun, Ekiti. I think Anambra too. So this will be, that's good for the man to test run, you understand?
Okay.
To test run. It's a Herculean task. It's a Herculean task for the man to accomplish.
All right. It's still from the Daily Zone Solutions and 93.9 FM. And I'm happy to inform us that our doctor is already in the studio with us. But before we bring him on board, 2 more stories to talk about. We've had cases of insecurity rocking Kwara State for some weeks now, running to months, if not more than that now. And earlier this week, some senators representing Kwara State, had to voice out at the plenary, saying that the people of their constituencies are tired of being killed. Let's take a listen at one of the senators.
Thank you very much, the mover, for this motion. Your Excellency, I will not say much, but you remember when we confirmed the service chiefs, we vehemently agreed that we should set KPI for them and they should be reporting. Unfortunately, those KPIs were not set and no report is coming. Simply because you send us in the mass media that you kill 10 terrorists or 100 terrorists, it's not a report. You have to liberate areas so that we can see. Last time I reported in this Senate that progress has been achieved, and we were very grateful to the President and the armed forces. But unfortunately, Your Excellency, this progress is being mad. There is a renewed resurgence. Just in the last 2 months, Your Excellency, we know where the terrorists are gathering. It's in the public domain. Ordinary Nigerians need to see action. But today they will tell us they are here, tomorrow they are here. Everybody knows within our area. But we will not see any action taking place. That is to say, sir, we need this Senate to tell the armed forces to be reporting progress every week so that state by state, otherwise it will be a mess of all issues and we will not be seeing progress. Sir, I beg you that time is right now, that this problem is solvable. We have seen progress. We should not allow this progress to be derailed. We should pursue this remnant of these people so that our next election can be peaceful and sustainable. And we have something to sell to our people, sir. This is the only thing I want to take. If I get protected in my environment, please keep your roads, keep your schools. We just want to be safe.
A senator from Kwara State there saying, addressing the House, addressing the Senate President too, talking about the plight of the people of his constituency as regards being kidnapped and killings by bandits in Kwara State.
Yes, I hear that they are demanding that there should be a military base in this in Kwara South. Why? Why are they doing that?
He made mention of something we've been hearing. He said these bandits always inform the public that this is where they are striking next, meaning that there are intelligence reports. But the security forces fail to show up to rescue the situation. And we had the same cases, the same stories from Plateau and Benue too, that these bandits will say, okay, we are coming there tomorrow morning, and they will be there.
So that's failure of intelligence. And we have said it over and over again, that the failure of... look, could you have a prison break? They said there were nothing less than 100 intelligence reports. Yet nobody did anything. In Ilorin, there is the Sobi Barracks, and it is this 22nd Armored Brigade. A whole brigade is in Ilorin. The 22nd Armored Brigade of the Nigerian Army. And then there is the Nigerian Army College of Education there, apart from a few other things. Now, if you have a whole brigade, I don't know what else is they can, but and they have the army intelligence and everybody there. So why are they not deploying? Why are they not deploying? And I know that, you know, when you say Kwara South, Abi, Kwara South is contiguous to Oyo State. There is a link from Kwara South to the road to Igbeti. That road comes when you are going from Ogbomoso to Igbeti. At that particular point, the Kwara road links Igbeti Road. Now, that tells you that even Oyo State is close
should be on the alert.
Seriously. Because the forest in Kwara is contiguous to Niger, and then to Sokoto and Zamfara,
into those places,
and then to Oyo State and the whole of Oyo North. Massive forest reserves, actually. So Oyo too should be on the alert. But I think the fact is that our security forces are overwhelmed. Look, how many theaters are they operating? Internal security, not fighting external aggression. Internal security. You know they are not trained. They are not trained for internal security. It is the police that is trained for internal security, and that is the primary duty of the police. The military are not trained for that. And the interesting part is that you are not fighting regular warfare. No clearly defined battle
Because these
lines.
bandits live within the people in those communities.
Yes. So, it's a very difficult war to fight and win and sustain. Because if you live among the people, I kept asking myself when Boko Haram started, why is Boko Haram festering in Northeast? If he does not have support from within the people, he does. The narration for that part is something for another day. Why is it thriving in the Northwest too? The one they call banditry. We know that in the Northwest, the one banditry has something to do with ethnic stuff and all of that. But government cannot afford, because everything government does on the economic front. Food security. If there is no food security, there is no security. That's the basic security. What is it that every parent is fighting to ensure it happens at home? When the children are well fed, okay, you can now think of other things. But when there is no food, when you have to struggle for what to eat, I mean, that leaves you almost stranded, because that's the most basic. So food security becomes a challenge when there is insecurity, and those are the places producing food for Nigeria. The Northwest, they bring the beans and all of that from those places. And look at the Middle Belt, Plateau and Benue, where we get the yam from, the one they allude to as Abuja yam, simply because they take it to Abuja. Which yam do they produce? What is the size of Abuja? What is so this thing must be given up. But I know that the president's travels in the recent times has got to do with procurement of hardware for the military.
Okay.
Especially the Air Force.
All right. One more story now. This one has to do with students with accommodation problems in our varsities. We have it on the front page of Vanguard saying accommodation crisis hits varsity students' parents' will. I mean, it seems that the population of students now have outweighed the available halls of residence there. I remember when I came into UI, we had the same thing too.
How many of you are in a room in UI?
Well, in my 100 level days, I don't know what it is now, but in my 100 level days, I think I was in Sultan Bello Hall, and I think we were about 5.
That room was designed for only 2. How many wardrobes were in that room?
2.
Dr.
Okoli is already confirming
because the number of wardrobes will tell you the original design.
But we were 5. We were 5 in our 100 level. We were 5, and it was a struggle to even, because according to the rules then, you were only entitled to accommodation in your
100 level
in your
final
final year. But some of us were lucky to get accommodation all through, because we got involved in some hall activities. I was a member of the press and also a member of the UI basketball team. So that gave me automatic ticket to have accommodation all through my state. But now it's a different ball game, because it seems the number of admitted students is outweighing the available residents within the campuses, which has forced students to be sourcing for accommodation off campuses. Now the agents are putting pressure on the students, and parents are wailing now.
In Ibadan, because of that was the original design of UI and Agbo. Agbo was designed to serve University of Ibadan, so that's why you have a massive population of students at Agbo. It's a big problem. But you see, what is bothering me is that this lack of vision. These challenges have been with us for a very long time. We're talking about 40 years. When I got to Ife, When I got to Ife, the room was designed for, was it 2 people? Yeah, I think 2 people. But there were big rooms. We had 4. And then the double bunk. Eventually, I got lucky. I got accommodation in the postgraduate hall. You understand? Okay. But you know the ridiculous part? Even in Ife, the new postgraduate hall they built, they were asking, they designed it for 2 people. PG students. In Ife, the new PG hall.
Which should be, at least, all of residents for PG are usually 2 to a room.
No, in Ife it was 1 originally.
Oh, really?
Yes. It was 1. It was the new ones that they built that they made 2. That was what they are going to turn the ones designed for 1 person into 2. So, and you imagine if we had this challenge since the late 70s, we should not be. We should have found a solution. You understand? It is clearly a lack of vision. Go into partnership. Go into partnership with the private sector. Universities, tertiary institutions will endure forever. God, pardon me for this forever that I used to. They're not going to go anywhere. They're not going to go extinct. So if you invest in those places, you will always make money. And I don't understand why the universities had not done that.
And some of these universities have enough land to build more buildings.
More than enough now. They have. Ife is virtually. Look, when I was in Ife, I didn't have to go to town to do anything. To do what? At the gate, I pick a ride to Ibadan. I drop at the gate, come back. So I have kept saying in the past few years, because I worked with the vice chancellor, who was clearly a visionary. I worked with him in 2 institutions. Maybe because he was also a businessman, he was clearly visionary. So all these things that you become a vice chancellor and sit down and take a knife and start sharing money. No. You must be able to generate. You must be able to generate too.
They use knife to share money. Okay, you can go ahead. I'm enjoying you.
Nobody honorable Larry Agore calls it parking. He calls it parking. So it must, a part of the interview must be, how are you going to generate resources, money here? You understand? It's not it goes beyond mere academic and administrative
qualifications.
No. It has gone beyond that now. You must managerial skills. And then all the researches that universities are doing, what is the application to real time? UI has set up a unit now, marketing the research outcomes.
Okay.
In industry. So all these things has gone beyond all these just go and sit down, occupy space and spend 4 years and they start calling you former vice chancellor. What value did you add? That's the big question now. So it's embarrassing that, remember, this thing has been with us for more than 40 years. Let's even put it at 40 years. For God's sake. Why should we still be talking about that same problem? 40 years. And those are the citadel of learning. Citadel of learning. They can't think solution. Power problem. Water problem. They can't think solution. That speaks a lot about these our citadels of learning.
It's 10 minutes past 10 on Solutions 93.9 FM. Still on from the dailies. I think it's a convenient point for us to switch the gear now and go to the health segment where we have Dr. Chukwuma Okoli, the Chief Medical Director of Metropolitan Family Hospital, Akobo Ibadan, is waiting to be on the program. I'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Stay ahead of the curve and get updates on the latest trends in politics, government, policies, education, economy, social development, amongst others.
We're happy to announce today that both the federal government and the organized labor have agreed on an increase on the 62,000 naira minimum wage.
Join
Ayodeji Ajishope
and
Adedamola Lafenwa
on from the dailies every weekday from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. on Solutions 93.9 FM as they dive into the headlines with in-depth analysis and feedback from you on different stories from the national dailies. Start your day by gaining fresh perspectives, uncovering the story behind the story, and join the conversation. Because your voice matters. From the dailies, the conversation never stops.
Moving to the health corner now, we have Dr. Chukwuma Okoli, the Chief Medical Director of Metropolitan Family Hospital, Akobo, Ibadan. Good morning to you, Dr. Okoli.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, it feels so good to have you this morning. Let me ask you, did you have an accommodation problem during your undergraduate days at the university?
Yes, I did. I
Okay.
did. In fact, I can relate with Comrade Ayodeji because accommodation was a problem all through. In my own school, they had to just make do with hostels built by business owners, individuals. Yes, when you were talking about, you mentioned rightly about the problem, which is the poor planning. Now, the truth is, it's very expensive to build now. If these things were considered earlier than now, probably 20 years ago, we would have more people invest into that. You can't call me up now and say, come build a hostel because we need hostels. I would be looking for a loan because to build just a 3-bedroom, I'll be needing probably 50 million to build a standardized 3-bedroom. Now imagine to build a hostel. Imagine it. So now I've been to institutions, schools, tertiary institutions, yes, where I got to know that some of those hostels are owned by individuals. But how many people in this country today can say they have the resources to build hostels to accommodate people?
And even the rates that will be charged.
That's another thing. Because before you even finish those things, you will be spending billions of naira to do so. And when you're done, you want to get your money back in how many months?
And then when they want to peg it, 30,000.
That's exactly. And that is it. So nobody wants to do that. That's why, yes, the planning was poor, urban issue. And who do we have? Ourselves to blame.
Okay, now to our topic for today. Sunday, October 5, was the World Meningitis Day. It was celebrated last Sunday, and today we want to talk about the word meningitis, the ailment. What is meningitis all about? I've been hearing about that ailment for decades now. So what is it all about?
Thank you. Meningitis is an ailment it's better imagined than experienced. Now, the human head, has a skull, the bone, that houses the brain. The brain has 3 coverings, dura, arachnoid, and pia mater. Those 3 coverings are the meninges that protects the brain. So meningitis is when there is an infection of those brain coverings. Now, why I said these things are better imagined than experienced is that people who recover from meningitis are termed survivors because it kills as much as 8 out of 10. And the unfortunate part is that the commonest organism involved, the Neisseria meningitidis and the strep pneumonia, are airborne, which is why when taking histories, we ask about history of recent travel to the north, because in those days, it used to be so prevalent in the north.
In the north,
yes. Prevalent in the north that when people travel, they just inhale the bacteria. It comes to their lungs. From their lungs, it travels.
It travels in the blood and then to the brain.
Exactly.
Wow.
It can cross blood-brain barrier and enters the brain and hits the covering. Now, the covering is not just a covering as it were. It is a protective covering. So the job is to protect the brain. Now you breach the covering and then you expose the brain. Death is just as fast as the snap of a finger.
When you say airborne, why is it available in some species and are not available in some species?
Thank you very much. Now, as terrible as meningitis is, it is treatable and treatable fast. Of course, there are vaccines. Now, vaccination practices are more established in the western and eastern parts of the country, but not in the northern part of the country.
Why?
They have a lot of what do we call this?
Restrictions?
Restrictions, beliefs, cultural norms.
Oh.
Yes, that prevents them from accessing.
And it seems to be more prevalent over there.
Yes, because of these challenges we are talking about right now.
Okay.
So when you have a situation whereby somebody is ill and then you're like, okay, we are waiting for the dad to come
And decide.
before you take such a person, and then he comes back and meets a corpse. And then what's the next thing they say? Well, to God be the glory, he giveth, he taketh, and then they bury. And then such a person was probably killed of meningitis. And at that time, almost everybody around are at risk because the
He's breathing in
yes,
and out.
Exactly. So the bacteria is all over the place, and then they now transport themselves from there on their long trucks and then come down here and they continue to spread.
So what's usually the presentation?
Thank you. Basically, the commonest things that we find around, the headache, the fever, the neck stiffness is one point that you should note. The neck stiffness.
No wonder the Yorubas call it you know.
Cerebrospinal meningitis?
Yes, that's you've just mentioned the full name, cerebrospinal, because the covering does not cover just the brain alone, but the spinal
goes down
cord.
the spine.
Exactly, that's why it's called cerebrospinal meningitis. So the neck stiffness is the catch point. Another one is fear of light, photophobia. Those are the
Really?
catch points. Yes.
Oh, now let's talk about the journey of the bacteria from the air into the body.
Thank you. Through the nasal system, inhaled into the lungs.
Okay.
From the lungs, it gets into the blood because air exchange happens at the lungs.
Yeah.
So when it's exchanged, it gets into the blood. Now, these bacteria have the ability to cross the blood-brain barrier. That means the blood vessels get into the brain. Now, you see, when you get to a human brain, you don't get to see blood everywhere. What you see is a pink-colored, echo-looking thing. That's the brain. Pink-colored, like thick like echo. That's how the brain is. I witnessed a gory accident happen recently, some years back, and then the guy's head was busted open. And I was actually looking at. I wanted to start packing the brain up because the brain was all over the place. The whatever it is pierced and cut the brain open and spilled all the contents. And there was the fluid, cerebrospinal fluid was poured out. Then the echo-looking thing was also on the road. I had to just help to see that it was packed, and then they strapped the head and then took him to the mortuary because he was already, gone. So when this thing gets into the brain, it can cross the blood-brain barrier. That blood-brain barrier are the meninges. It will pass through, and then while it hits the brain, it would have infected the meninges. The meninges are meant to protect the brain. And once the security is breached, the whole human being.
To protect the brain from what?
Okay, from, of course, unwanted visitors.
Okay.
Yes, bacteria, viruses, fungi. Those are the unwanted visitors.
The human body is a near perfect machine.
Well, near perfect. Near perfect. So, the human body, like as we are, you don't get to charge yourself anywhere. You just wake up in the morning, just clean your skin, put on a cloth, and go.
I like to ask this. Virtually every illness starts with inflammation of an organ.
Thank you very much. Absolutely true. And that's why in clinical practice, that's the first topic we are taught.
Inflammation.
Exactly, sir. The first, number one. That tells how important. Sir, pimple is an inflammation. Pimple is an inflammation.
So if I have a means of preventing inflammation in my body, I'll stay healthy.
Very well. Absolutely.
All right, now let's talk about the symptoms after the meninges have been damaged.
Yes.
So what's the next process?
When the meninges are damaged, of course, the brain is available to be destroyed, exposed to bacteria, working and damaging the brain tissue, and that leads to death.
Now, the symptoms.
Okay, I've mentioned them. I said, starting with the fever, the commonest things we find around fever, okay, the cough, and then generalized body weakness. Now, the catch, you see the neck stiffness, and then fear of light, photophobia. Those are the
This stiffness,
Yes.
how does it present? I'm just unable to turn my neck or
from
just
left to right or up and down.
But you know,
The neck is stiff.
sometimes we wake up to that kind of feeling. I mean,
It's not 100%. I agree with you. But
as
it's
a
not
matter
100%.
as a result of probably your sleeping position.
That's why I
overnight.
said it's not 100%. Like it happens a couple of times. You just notice that you even be the one showing like this part
to
you know, this part. Not like you can't even move and attempt to move. You're like,
What's the difference now? The one that has meningitis and the usual one.
Okay, the usual one is like I said, the neck sickness or meningitis, the movement is difficult. You can't move up, down, neither can you turn left, right. Attempt to move it is met with so much pain and headache, pounding headache.
But that comes after the fever.
No, it doesn't take a particular pattern.
Oh, okay.
Yes, just like rabies and cold. They don't take patterns sometimes. They don't take. And then, of course, what are the causes? When we get to the causes, we talk about the bacteria, the fungus, the virus. Now, each of these have their own pathognomonic. That's the pathway they take. They don't all follow.
so it depends on the infection.
Yes, I've seen a patient who presented with just neck stiffness only, and slight headache. But by the time I asked a few questions over and over again, I just felt, I think at this juncture, we need to do a lumbar tap.
Lumbar?
Yes. We just flex. It's difficult in an adult. You have to flex a whole adult like a C.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yes, you flex.
And
like
punch.
a C, and punch
Kai.
at the back. And then take the fluid. And of course, taking the fluid...
That's
they
a
get
risky
to the-
venture.
Oh, yeah, it's risky, but it has to be done because that's the only way you can diagnose meningitis.
So what's the treatment?
Simple. Early course of antibiotics. And then, of course, that is when the disease comes in. But to prevent, vaccine. And that is where our immunization thing comes into play. And that's why I said, that's why it's prevalent in that part of the country, because of poor practices there. So when you vaccinate your children, you are preparing their future.
Do we now say that there is no, not much awareness over there to let them know that this is not something you have to put time to?
We live in a part of the country where superstitious beliefs and cultures and norms supersedes
All other things.
awareness and then technology and information. In fact, we live in a part of the world where some people preach against technology. And so if you're bringing those in, they would say, no, keep your stuff. Okay, how did COVID vaccine, how did it fare? How did it fare? The moment people started raising voices against it, some people started refusing it, thinking that they are putting things into their body system.
What happened with Pfizer in Kano?
That's the point. That's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. You live in a part of the world where people have strong cultural beliefs and superstitions as against technology. That name you mentioned is once you hear that name, you are talking about technology. And anything that it stands with is technology. And they feel like, no, we know how to take care of ourselves. And you watch them go down the drain and they are not even willing for you to help them.
That's a difficult one.
It is a difficult one. And the problem still stays with us. In fact, I don't know for how long, Sha.
Now, apart from being vaccinated against this meningitis, what are other ways one can stay safe?
Okay. You know, I mentioned once in the studio that the advent of COVID has taught us some basic lessons. And that is things like use of face mask. And I also stated that these things are not leaving us for now. So let's get used to it. Face masks, we'll call it nose masks, hand washing, and sanitizers. Let's get used to them. If you feel you have runny nose, as simple as runny nose is, get your face mask. You are also protecting yourself from inhaling streptococcus pneumonia and all those things, the serial meningitis and all those causative organisms you can't even see. So because the truth is, like you said, inflammation. You have a runny nose, your membranes are inflamed. There's a cribriform plate behind the nose that is the floor of the brain. And it is a sieve, I say, a sieve. So something that's naturally a sieve now becomes porous again. Your guess is as good as mine. And that's why you see from chest-related ailment, boom, they go unconscious. And then you don't know you have meningitis in your hands, and you're like asking, how? And they will tell you there was no history, or they didn't travel, or they did not travel. They don't have to travel. Once the inflammation is not taken care of on time, Once the appropriate antibiotics are not administered, these bacterial organisms or fungus or viruses find their way through the cribriform plate right into the brain. That is it. You have a meningitis or a cerebral abscess or even the big one, the death.
Now, between the entry into the body and when the damage is done, what is the lifespan
There are
to
no
cause maybe death?
Yes, there are no
to lead to death.
there are no documented periods. It's based on the immune system. We talked about this earlier too, sometimes in the past, that if you have a good immune system, you can fight. If your immune system is down, you are meat.
And since you mentioned the immune system, I think we are going into a period now where the weather will be changing from
Exactly.
So, what do we
Thank
do
you
to
very
keep-
much. Now, let me alert people that this is a time when a lot of microorganisms, living things, let me say generally, living things, are preparing themselves for the dry season. Okay. Those that know they are easily killed tend to grow a protective covering over themselves, and then they stay like that, and then they dry up by the edge of the road, and cars run over them, and then the dust is raised.
Hibernate.
Yeah, of course, they are hibernating. But while in their hibernated state, they are exposed, they are released. So we have a lot of aerosols now, and then people inhale it. So we're also going to have a high rate of respiratory-related ailments.
Wow.
Now, the people who are asthmatic should also get prepared because the DUST is going to be much more dust. We battled with cold during the time that for months we were looking for sun. I'm sure you remember when we go for a whole day, 2 days, no sun.
Without sun.
Now we are getting into the point where the sun is going to be blazing hot and it will dry up all the water and raise the dust to like times 10. So you are done dealing with cold, you are now dealing with dust. So help yourself, get your nose mask and stay protected.
Now, you've always spoken about a nose mask. There's a level to the use of nose masks too, as regards being hygienic with it.
Yes.
Because somebody once told me that sometimes when you use nose mask, you are accumulating microorganisms
True.
that could harm you as well.
You discard after a day.
Okay, that's what I want you to address.
Yes.
How to use, or what are the things to do when
Yes.
using nose masks?
Discard after a day.
After a day.
Yes, sir.
Okay, not that the one you use and use again. Okay,
Exactly.
all right.
That is why it is better to use the light-colored one.
Thank you. Thank you. So that you would know when it. Some people even use more than one in a day. I remembered when the Basharon Road was being constructed. I had reasons to pass through that road quite often on a bike. Just one move, and then I pulled it in. I'm like, whoa. And then we're buying that thing for about, I think, 45,000. I mean, the face mask.
The pack.
The pack.
The pack of 50.
Yes, a pack of 50. It was that expensive then. But at the end of the day, isn't it better to stay alive?
Yeah.
They say prevention is better than cure. Not just better, cheaper too.
Better, cheaper.
Okay, all right. Comrade, I don't know if you have any.
Yes, I think it's almost time.
Okay, that's true. It's almost time. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Chukwuma Okoli, the Chief Medical Director of Metropolitan Family Hospital, Akobo, Ibadan. It's always, I think you make a good lecturer too.
Imparting knowledge.
Because you have a way of breaking these things down to our level.
Thank
you
sir.
very much.
That's a gift.
It's an honor. Thank you, sir.
I wish you a very splendid weekend too, sir.
You too, sir.
Okay, and to you, Comrade Adeja Jokbe, I'd like to say thank you to you for being a part of this program
My
all
pleasure.
through the week.
My pleasure.
Thank God
Always.
it's Friday. Like I always say, my weekend starts now.
Yes, I got to. I think I'm going to do a restful one too, to heal from my cold and cough.
Okay, and don't forget to use your face mask.
It's in the car.
Okay, all right. Wishing a very splendid weekend
Thank
too.
you very much.
Okay, that's the wrap for today. We'll be back again Monday morning for a fresh edition of From the Dailies on UCPDA Solutions and 93. The Nana FM. My name is Adi Damola Lafema. Once again, I'm saying good morning and do enjoy the rest of the weekend.
News, sports, entertainment, top 100 music on your Remedy Radio dial. Solutions 93.9.
Do not touch that dial. 20 essential vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. One Supermalt multivitamin after breakfast every day keeps you going.
I am malaria, the king of malaria parasites. My mission is simple: to take over your body, to cause fever, chills, headache. But one thing stands in my way. Come on.
Effective relief from malaria. Comal on. Malaria gone. If symptoms persist after 3 days, consult doctor.
No buy am. But why? No see say this big bull bag of rice no get the new big bull holographic seal. Not true.
Introducing the Big Bull Holographic Seal Tape, your favorite authentic Big Bull rice, 50 kg and 25 kg. Now with holographic seal tape. This is to ensure you get the premium product from Big Bull rice. Do not buy if the holographic seal tape is not on the bag or is broken. Big Bull rice. Tasty rice nourished you.
Mom's love is pure. It's so no cheetah. Mom's special jollof. It's a smile on your face. Mom's yummy fries. Cheers you up. Mom's tasty stew. Nourishes the family. Golden Terra oil. Tasty. Golden Terra oil. Nourishing. Golden Terra oil. Golden Terra soya oil.
Golden Terra oil helps mom pour her love in the tasty, nourishing meals she cooks for her family. Golden Terra oil. Pour pure love.
Radio is all about information, education, and entertainment.
Maybe that's before now. Solutions 93.9 FM has raised the standard of radio broadcast to preferring solutions in all human angle. 939 FM, the remedy.
Bó ṣe rí gẹ́lẹ́ àrẹ́díò alábàárọ̀lé o Solutions FM tí gbogbo wa ní àhẹ́gbọ́. Ẹ̀jáde fẹ́ni tó tọ́ sí ẹ̀bùn ṣùgbọ́n fẹ́ni tó ga jùlọ ṣe bá wà lárí tọ́jú lówó Solutions FM tí gbogbo wa ní. Ṣé bá wà lárí tọ́jú lówó Solutions FM bàbá wọn ni.
Solutions 93.9 FM ilé àwẹ̀ ní Òkè Àdó Ìbàdàn àwa lọ́nà àbáyọ.
Allah 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 Allah. Allah Allah oh. Allah Allah. Arile asima bisiri izaati Allah Allah bisiri siri tamsibili amai Allah Allah bikasi kalmag fi bili abai Allah Allah ila awali li barisi lili wujudi Allah Allah bini alam al-ghaibi ila shudi Allah Allah ima tawafili mi kalima suni Allah Allah wa ma hawa wa laka onomini makinuni Allah Allah ila arishi wal farishi wa bil aflaki Allah Allah bil alami
bílẹ̀ àṣìná wà bílẹ̀ àmúláàkì. Allah Allah. ìsírí jámù ilé jámù ìbílẹ̀ fanáì. Allah Allah. wà sọ wíwálé màháwí wà bílẹ̀ bá kọ́ ì. Allah Allah. inú kí ìtàn ti dáìrà tìlílì mọ̀ ṣì rọ̀. Allah Allah. ní ìwádà tìlẹ̀ mọ̀ ṣọ́ ìrìlì kẹfì rọ̀. Allah Allah. ìlà àsìmí ilé Mustapha ti rọ̀ mi. Allah Allah. wàhálì wà sọ bí ilé kí rọ̀ mi. Allah Allah. ìlà gáwùsì wàlí màbúbi abidillahi. Allah Allah. jibirili anami silahaya wa ijai. Allah Allah.
Solutions 93.9 FM
Al-Qadiri. Allah Allah. Gáwùsì láìfi torí jamana zikiri. Allah Allah. iṣẹ́ ìrì abidil kadirili Jailani. Allah Allah. wà mú sí tọ́fàlì bàkìrì ìzílẹ̀ ìkọ́ni. Allah Allah. wà kúlù kùtùbí mi ní ìmọ̀ kádàáni. Allah Allah. fàkọ̀dí ìtawà sẹ̀lì náà bí mú yẹ dáa.